Listo, Diego. Ya estás en vivo, Diego.
Right. Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Leading Your Students Through Communication and Collaboration Skills session. These are a series of webinars that we have been presenting you to review the importance of promoting 21st century skills among your students and in your lessons. On behalf of the Secretary of Education, the Science, Technology and Media Department, the Red Academica team, and the Bilingualism District Plan, we want to say hello. We want to welcome you all to this session today. And well, to start, Jamie Herrera is with us today, our academic coordinator, and we're gonna be together presenting you or sharing with you all these strategies and information related to the way that you can promote communication and collaboration skills among your students. So good morning, Jamie. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being with us again.
Good morning, Diego. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for being here with us. Thank you.
Okay, so uh, people, don't forget to share the name of your schools and your names if you want. If you are teachers, English teachers, people who are joining us from other institutions, and if you're parents, students, so please start interacting with us. We have Luisa Fernanda, we have Luisa Fernanda Martinez, who's going to be supporting us with the chat. So she's going to be responding to your requests and questions and comments. Remember that our purpose is to have an interactive um, session. So we're going to be asking some questions to you. So the idea is that you reply to our questions through the chat. Okay, so we have Cristobal Colon. Thank you for being with us today. We have, let me see, we have other teachers. We have Consuelo Lemos from La Chucua School. So thank you, Consuelo, for being with us again, for joining us. We're gonna give some minutes for more teachers to join. Okay, we have Mireya from León de Grave School. Rodrigo Lara Bonilla, so thank you for joining us again. Teachers from Rodrigo Lara Bonilla, thank you for being with us once again. So please start like sharing the name of your schools. Don't forget that Luisa Martinez is going to be sharing the attendance form. We're going to be sharing a link for you to register to this session. So don't forget to fill it before you leave the session. And well, to start, okay, we have more people joining. We have Sulma Niño from Enrique Olaya Herrera. Good morning, Sulma. Thank you for being with us again. Rocío Maecha from Policarpa Salabarrieta, CDA. Good morning, Rocío. You're very welcome. Let's see, we have another people from Antonio Van Uden. Okay, good. We have more people and more people joining. Okay, so while other people connect and join our session, we want to start reminding you what our webinar or our session is going to be about today. Don't forget that this is a series of webinars that we have been presenting you related to the way that in which you can promote the communication and 21st century skills. And today we're going to tackle specifically communication and collaboration skills. These are two competences that are very very important to be developed in your lessons to students, for your students to know how to interact with people and collaborate with people in the 21st century. And that being said, we're gonna go through our first activity. So Daniela, if you help me with the next slide. Thank you. So what we're gonna do today to start is that we're gonna try to remember the different aspects about 21st century skills, and we're gonna give you some statements related to changes or recent changes in our society. And what you're going to do is that you're going to have the statement and you're going to let us know what skills you think are necessary in the 21st century or in the 21st century according to the situation that is given to you. All right. So for this, we're going to be using an app. Its name is Quizzes, and we do want to recommend you the use of this app because this is a way in which you can promote your lessons through platforms, or if you want to share quizzes with your students or different activities online, you can share this through WhatsApp, through Facebook, through email. There are so many options to share this kind of activities. So what are the instructions? Basically, what we're going to do is that here you have a link. My partners are going to be helping you to share, or we're going to be sharing the link with you. And then we're going to give you a code, which is a number. You're going to introduce the code. And after that, when you enter the quiz, you're going to type your name. All right. After you type your name, then we're going to have more people and more people joining. And then we're going to start the session live. So I'm going to show you in this moment. Andrea, if you can help me sharing my screen. We're going to show you what the link is. That is this one. joinmyquiz.com. So this one is the link that you're going to click on, and this is the number or the code that you need to enter. All right, so give me just a second. I'm going to type the link in here. This is the link that you have to follow, and we're gonna share with you the number or the code number. All right, give me just a second. Okay, so remember that this is something that can be done with your students. This is like a very simple exercise. You just create the quiz. We're gonna show you more or less the way that this app works, but today we're going to have this exercise. Our invitation is for you to explore the website so you can see how this works. So remember, you can use any device, a computer, a cell phone, you can use a tablet, you can send this through WhatsApp, and students can connect through WhatsApp. So here we have some people connected. We have Sandy, Mireya, Leonardo Soler, Marta Moreno, de la Aurora. So we're gonna wait for more people to connect before we start. We're gonna see if more people connect. So don't forget that it's a very nice way in which you can interact with your students, and you can have like let's say an evaluation process after you taught a topic and you want to know how much your students learn about that topic. You can use this kind of tools, right? Remember that in our previous session, the one that was about a flipped classroom or aula invertida, we shared one that was Mentimeter, but this one is another option that you have. So here we have more people, Paloma, Catherine, we have Jeanette. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so we're gonna start with the ones that we have right now. So what you're gonna do next? Next, you're gonna click on Iniciar. All right. Okay, so what you have to do is that you have to start reading the statements and let us know what is the 21st century skill that you think should be developed in the context of the statement. Okay? So don't forget to start responding. So thank you, people. Don't forget, it doesn't matter if it is correct, incorrect. The idea is that you explore the, the app. Don't forget to start. We have more people connected. Nice. Okay. Okay, we have connected. Don't forget to start answering. Don't worry if they are correct or incorrect. Just read the statement. Think about what strategies are being developed. Okay. And what are the 21st century skills? Okay. Okay. So as you can see, this is an app and a tool in which you can see the answers of your students live. So this is happening at the same time while they are answering. So this is a very nice tool because you can select, okay, my students are responding. You can control the time you want. When you set the, you can say, for example, that the students only have the answer, the opportunity to, or one attempt, or two attempts, or you can set the time for each question, so you can set like 30 seconds. In this case, I think that we have like 30 seconds for each question. So this is very nice. This also has like a really nice thing that is that it has some music at the game. So this helps your students to relax, to have like a start. And when you answer correctly and incorrectly, there are some memes that appear giving you feedback, right? So this is something that you can use. So I know that there are some teachers that haven't finished yet. We're gonna give one more minute for you to finish because we need to move on with our workshop. So, okay. So let's say 30 seconds, people. Please don't forget to finish the quiz. We have 20 seconds, people. Right? Okay. You have 10 seconds, people. Please start completing all the answers that you can. You see here, you can see the percentage of correct answers. Right? So we have 72 correct answers, 64. So this is like a 53% of accuracy. Okay, good, people. So we're gonna, what you do next, if you are the one controlling the game, what you're going to do is that you're going to click on terminar, okay? And here you have the option, just you click on terminar, okay? So this is like the end. Here you have like the first, second, and third position. So congrats to Rocio, that was like the one who got the first position. We have Adriana and Marta. Remember that this app measures not only the correct answers, but also the time that you invested in giving the answers. And this is why, for example, in the first three cases, we have people with good or correct answers, but Rocio's in the first position because she did it in the shortest amount of time. Okay, so as you can see here, you have the list of people who responded to the quiz. Okay, so this is something that you can use. And look at this. This is very, very nice. You have like the accuracy of the class. So here you have like the percentage of correct answers. So here you have the correct the percentage of the number of correct answers that your class got in total. So you have like the whole class accuracy. This is very nice because it lets you know how your class is going and if the topic needs to be reinforced or if they got a good result. In this case, it gives you what the hardest question was, or in this case, what the most difficult question was for your students. So here you have that question number 3 was the most difficult one, okay? Because 27 people responded incorrectly, okay? Then it gives you the longest time invested and in what question it happened. So here you have that question number 1 was like the one that took more time for students to answer. And it gives you interesting facts. So you have like, for example, in this case that there was one question that got less than 40% accuracy. So this is like a feedback that you can use to know how your class is going, okay? If you need to reinforce this topic, if you are going to say, for example, based on the responses that we have here, we could say like, okay, we need to talk more about 21st century skills, or maybe this is because the last session that we had happened in a long time ago, so that's why maybe teachers that are participating today need to reinforce this topic. So here, for example, you can also click. For example, if you click here, it gives you like more specific information. So it says, together we face some of the biggest problems we have ever experienced, such as the threat of climate change. So here it says that 8 students answered correctly, 21 incorrectly, or you chose different options. It gives you the numbers so you can have all the information about this answer. So this is a very nice tool because based on this, you can implement an action plan to reinforce topics, okay? Another important aspect, don't forget that, well, we usually have like papers or notebooks or physical material to have quizzes, or we ask our students like, okay, take a piece of paper and then we're gonna have the quiz and these are the questions and we write the questions on the board. Well, people, this is a tool in which you get rid of all that physical material that is only going to take or to let's say like it's going to be like very demanding for you to evaluate, and here you have the evaluation. Another important aspect of this app, or another feature, here you can download the results, and it's going to provide you with an Excel document. So the tool is going to give you the possibility to download an Excel file, and then you can, if you need to transfer these grades to another document or to a format that you use at your schools, this is something that can be done as well. Don't forget that you can create different type of activities. You can create matching games, you can create polls, you can create different type of activities, and you can also use activities that have been already created. Okay, so our invitation, teachers, is for you to explore this app, this tool that is available for you. I think that this is going to be very helpful, especially these days that we're facing all this emergency and our classes are taking place virtually. So our invitation, teachers, don't forget to explore quizzes, don't forget to register. You can use your accounts, Google accounts, you can register with Gmail, or you can enter a different email. So this is it. So thank you very much for your responses, and I hope that you could like refresh some of the aspects that we explored in the previous sessions related to 21st century skills. So now I'm going to stop sharing, and Daniela, can you please go back with our presentation? Thank you very much. Okay, perfect. So now we're gonna share with you what the agenda of the day is going to be. So Jamie, can you please help us with the agenda and let us know what is going to be happening or what's going on in today's session?
Okay, thank you, Diego. So our agenda for today is, first, we are gonna discuss about framework for 21st century skills. Second, we are gonna move to some tips in which we are gonna give you some recommendations to communicate better. Then number 3, we are gonna show you some resources. And number 4, we are gonna move to some suggested activities about collaboration and also communication. So we are ready to start with framework. And please, Daniela, continue. So, talking about 21st century skills, we have this model. This was done by UNESCO. And you know, 21st century skills are so important for us. Today's young people must be able to work together, connect, and solve problems. So in this session, we are going to talk about specifically collaboration and also communication. So for 21st century skills, we have 3 basic categories. The first one is foundational literacies. So basically, those are the common contents that people need to learn. For instance, literacy, numeracy, ICT literacy, financial, for instance, financial literacy, etc. So those are like the basic contents and knowledge that people need nowadays. And then we have another category. These are competencies. So competencies, we have the 4 C's. Remember that we have critical thinking, creativity, communication, and collaboration. So in this session, we are going to work on those 2 final competencies, communication and collaboration. And then we have another category. It is character qualities. So talking about character qualities, it is more like talking about personality, curiosity, for instance, or persistence, or leadership. So taking into account competencies, continue, Daniela. We are gonna talk about it is about how students approach complex challenges. So these competencies are gonna help students to achieve the goals and also to face the difficulties of their context. So in this case, communication and collaboration involve working in coordination with others to convey information or tackle problems. Communication and collaboration are always together, because when you communicate better, you can also have a better teamwork, and also you can have better results. So we can move to the next, please. In this case, we have this chart. So we have, in this side, we have character qualities, and it has the definition of each one, and also how to teach all skills. And here, on the right hand, we have competencies. So specifically, we're gonna talk about communication and collaboration. Please continue, Daniela. Thank you. Next. Competencies such as these, like critical thinking, creativity, communication, and collaboration, are very important, are essential to the 21st century workforce. So according to recent researchers, they have found that even if you know a lot of things, even if you have all knowledge about a topic, it is necessary to manage these competencies. So it is important you to be critical, it is important you to evaluate, and also work with a team. So it is mandatory to really work as a team. It is necessary to achieve all the goals that you are facing, but also it is important because working together you can have better results. So we are going to move to the next. Please, Daniela. So in this chart, we can see that it is a result of a research that was done in 2015. It is about education and technology. So if you see the chart, in the top, we have some categories. For instance, personalized and adaptive content and curricula. Then we have open educational resources. Then we have communication and collaboration tools, and then interactive simulation and games. So according to this research, it is very common to have these educational resources, and those are focused on foundational literacies. So if you notice, all contents are emphasis for those resources, educational resources. Majority of resources are done to work on foundational literacies. For instance, mathematics, literacy, ICT, etc., etc. However, we need to reinforce that work on character qualities and competencies. So it is necessary to have more activities, to implement different exercises that can make stronger character qualities and competencies. So most educational tools are focused on developing foundational literacies. That is what this chart is showing. Continue, please, Daniela. But also technologies can help students develop competencies such as collaboration and communication. So how can we do that? By facilitating group work, peer-to-peer learning, and peer feedback. So if we use technology in a very good way, we can also work on character qualities, competencies, and we can go beyond English, which is our foundational literacy. Continue, please, Daniela. Also, when you implement methodologies such as project-based or task-based learning, and also experiential learning pedagogical approaches, that is going to help our students to work together, solve problems in real time, and of course, taking into account real situations. Continue, please. So, what is exactly the definition? So, in this case, communication. So, the competency of communication is the ability to work in a team towards a common goal, including the ability to prevent and manage conflict. This is so important when you are working in a team, when you live in a family, when you study at a school. It is so important to communicate assertively, and also you can manage conflict. So in this case, communication skills are essential for the successful future career and life of a person. In today's competitive world, communication skills in academic and working environments are the most sought after quality of an educated person. So as I told you before, it is not only important to know English, it is important to communicate in English, to be respectful, to understand the context, to be assertive. In this way, speaking, reading, writing, and listening carefully are very important skills to develop as a professional. So in this case, it is important teachers not only focus on grammar, on vocabulary, it is also so important to help students to communicate in a better way. Continue, please. Now we have the definition of collaboration. So collaboration ability is the ability to listen to, understand, convey, and contextualize information through verbal, non-verbal, visual, and written means. So if you notice, communication and collaboration are very connected. In this case, it is so important to listen, to understand, and also to have agreements according to the context. So talking about this topic, James Surowiecki, for example, explains how we use the wisdom of crowds. So in the new economy, by saying that under the right circumstances, groups are remarkably intelligent and are often smarter than the smartest people in them. So in Spanish, we say two people think better than one, and actually that is true. In this case, the wisdom of crowds, it is so nice, because whenever you have a good communication between the team and you gather more ideas and information, you're gonna have better results. So when you see these topics, collaboration and communication are very connected. And also, it is so important for us because we are teaching a language. So as we are teaching a language, we have a lot of influence and also the opportunity to impact more, to improve this communication and also this collaboration competencies in our students. So please continue. Now we're gonna give you some tips. So Diego continues giving you some tips, very interesting tips for teachers.
Thank you, Jamie.
You're welcome.
Okay, so as Jamie was saying, communication and collaboration are very connected. Today we're going to explore some activities as well. Some teachers are asking us about what activities can be developed, and especially those who don't have access to internet. But remember that here we're like training our students with, and some strategies and some things that they need to know in order to have a better development academically, or speaking, or maybe if you want to train them on how to be or work in a better way as a team. And remember that we're preparing them not only for university, we're preparing them to start a job, to interact with other people, to work as a team. Or for example, when you are playing a football game or you're playing a sport, or yes, communication and collaboration are competences that we need to develop in any context. And here we're going to focus on like the context of the classroom. And when we think about the classroom, we think about the teacher, and we think about those competences or communication competences that the teacher needs to develop, knowing that the teacher is the leader of the class. Okay, and why not? These are also tips that can be used or applied for different contexts. So the first one is openness. Okay, so important to have an open mind. Remember that people have different points of view. And when people, especially these days that we have all these political issues going on, so people want to share the point of view. So it's important that you keep an open mind. Remember that we all think in a different way. We have like a different set of beliefs. So it's important that we know how to keep an open mind, okay, and listen to people and their opinions. Lead by example. So remember that you're the leader, but a good leader is the one who leads setting an example, or it's the one that shows how to do things. So if you're the teacher and you're not giving examples, well, students are going to be like, but the teacher is telling us to do this, but he's not doing it. Okay, so it's important that you show them how to do it, and they will believe in you, or they will know that you know what you're training them. Okay, next one. Thank you, Daniela. Can we please move to the next slide? Good. Personalization. So it's important that you get to know your students. A good communicator is a person that has like a good confidence. It doesn't mean that you need to become friends with your students or with everyone that you know, but at least that they feel that you're close to them. Okay, even saying hello when you're like, I don't know, entering the school, and then you see one student, and then the student is looking at you and you ignore the student. So, and then you're in the class and you're like, Pablo, please, and they're like, well, but I was at the entrance of school, and the teacher even didn't even say hello. So it's important that they know that you know them, that you know your students. Okay, another important tip: a strong leader knows that time is valuable, so you need to prioritize people. You need to know or your students need to know what you want from them. Okay, they need to know what the goal is. That's why we are always remarking or highlighting that you need to set clear objectives for your class. You need to let them know what you want from them in a clear way. So don't forget to give instructions when they are supposed to be given, to connect ideas that they need, that they know, or that they realize that there is a logical sequence in your lessons. Avoid monologue. It's important as well. So people are more perceptive or receptive when they have dialogue, when they can interact with you. If you're standing in front of them, or you're speaking and you're telling them what is right, what is not right, if you're writing on the board, but you are not interacting with them, if you're not going around the classroom monitoring what they're doing, and you're asking them questions, if you're asking them if they are doing well, if they have questions about the activity, it's different. But if you speak for 30 minutes, then they work, and you go and sit down, then students are not going to feel that you are like interacting with them. Leadership, people, remember that we teachers are supposed to be leaders because we are leading a class. So it's important when you're a good leader, it's because you are given, in this case, clear and simple instructions. Okay, when you are not clear, when you are not like giving the information in a clear way, then students are gonna get confused. And sometimes we think that we are saying things in the correct way, or that people understand what we're saying, but well, I think that we all teachers have faced the situation like, okay, everything okay? Do you understand what you have to do? And they are like, yes, teacher, yes. And then they are like, okay, ¿qué fue lo que dijo? ¿Qué era lo que teníamos que hacer? So it's important that you confirm that you are being clear, okay? And that they understand what you want from them. Our next tip, can we please move Daniela to the next slide? It's about trust. So don't forget that it's important that you trust the person you're talking to. Okay, if they trust you, they will follow you. Critique. So feedback is important. Remember that you have to praise students when they do things correctly, but you also have to let them know when they are not doing things right. Okay, so criticism is important, but don't forget that the language that you use, it's even more important that the criticism is itself, or the feedback. Listen, people, I think that this one is like very clear. We need to learn how to listen to people. If you don't communicate with them, if you're not listening to what their needs are, then students are not going to see you as a leader or a person that is someone they want to work with. And finally, inspire. This is very important, people. So this is the #1 principle, because if you want to be effective as a leader, you need to develop the ability to inspire people around you. If your classes are not inspiring your students to learn languages, to learn about other cultures, to ask questions, then it's because you need to reinforce that. Okay, so we have to create an environment in which they feel that whenever they enter your class, they're being inspired by something. You can bring quotes, you can bring topics that they can develop in the class so that they inspire. Okay, so these are the tips. Thank you very much. I hope that you find these tips useful and that you can use them in the future and that you can follow them. Remember that this PowerPoint presentation is going to be shared with you through Red Academica, sorry, in some days. So moving on, Daniela, can you please go to the next one? Thank you. So now we're going to see some resources. And what are the resources that we have available for you? Remember that we have Red Academica, and on Red Academica you will find different material, different strategies. You go to the Plan de Bilingüismo icon, and there you will find the strategies that we have available for you and all the material. So Daniela, can you please move on, and then we're going to show the first one, and the first one is related to what we have mentioned this material before, so we're not going to be like or to tackle this topic in detail, but remember that you have converging grounds, and converging grounds is a strategy that can develop students' collaboration and communication skills. Remember that this is a series of different stories or storytelling in which they have to play roles and they have to learn how to interact, having different contexts. Remember that you have topics that are appealing to them. So we have movies, technology, sport, music, etc. So this strategy, we invite you to explore it again if you haven't. If you want to implement it, remember that we can help you, or we can support with any questions that you might have. And the next resource and material is the one, Daniela, if we can move to the next slide, please. It's Way to Go. Remember that Way to Go is a book series that was aligned, or that is aligned to the English suggested curriculum. You can find it on Red Academic as well, or Colombia Aprende website. And don't forget that Way to Go is a material in which you can develop 21st century skills as well. For example, you have this task in which students are talking about their likes and dislikes. So they're gonna have a conversation, and there you have a 21st century skill tip. This one is giving your opinions in a respectful way helps you to have good relationships with other people. So before they start having the interaction activity, you can share this tip with them. You can show them what expressions they can use to be respectful when they share their opinions, when they introduce their opinions, when they react to other people's opinions. Okay, so Way to Go, another material that you can use. In our next material, Daniela, Jamie is going to explain you the way in which the curriculum is aligned to the 21st century skills. So Jamie, thank you.
Thank you, Diego. So in this slide, we have 21st century skills, suggested English curriculum, transition to 5th grade. And what we show in this slide is the progression of cross-curricular topics. So what we wanted to show you was that progression, it starts from transition to 5th grade. So if we notice, every grade, it has a different goal. So going deeper, transition says, follow norms in English for their own and others' care when participating in individual and group games. So if we notice, in this case, this goal starts from the student, as the individual, as the person. But if we move, for instance, 5th grade, we have proposed actions to take care of his care, body, and his or her relationships with others using simple language. So if we notice in this example, we show you that English is not taught as a subject, as a content. It is also influencing the relationship between this student with the community. So the suggested English curriculum is gonna help you a lot to make or to reinforce these competencies, such as collaboration and communication. The goals progress in this curriculum moves from personal level to external environment. So it goes deeper between the learner, the classroom, and the community too. And the general topics, you know, it has some themes that are worked during the whole levels, during the whole grades. So these topics are health and life, peace and living together, environment and society, and global village. So as you notice, those are general topics in which we can learn English, but also teach our students to develop their competencies and, of course, to be citizens for the 21st century. So this is a very good materials. I expect you have heard or you have seen it. If you haven't had the chance, we share with you the link. You just click on that and you can check all these content. Please, Daniela, move to the next. Also talking about the suggested English curriculum, in this opportunity, we are talking to the secondary suggested English curriculum. So we also have this material. You can check that on the scope and sequence. So when you check the scope and sequence, we have, for instance, some lexical that is proposed, vocabulary, some expressions, and also, Daniela, can you please move to the next? Okay, expressions to give an opinion. So when in this curriculum, they provide us these examples, they are so useful to teach our students to communicate better. So it integrates the 21st century skills, of course, critical thinking, communication, collaboration. You don't need a lot of materials. You can just need to explore the suggested English curriculum. As you can see, there are a lot of resources. Also, you can see different examples to implement the task-based, project-based, or problem-solving approach. So that is going to be so useful for you. So we invite you, if you haven't checked suggested English curriculum, of course you can check the link and go deeper. You will find a lot of resources. Okay, we are gonna move to the next part, and these are the suggested activities. So in this part, we are gonna start with an activity about communication. Diego, can you help us with this activity?
Sure. Thank you, Jamie. So as we were saying, well, we need to start exploring the way in which our students could or can interact in a real situation. And it's very important because we tend to focus on like grammar, vocabulary, reading comprehension, and these kind of skills that are important, no? But sometimes we wonder like why my students are not understanding, or they can't understand listening exercises, or we say like, no, but I'm not going to have listening exercises because these are too difficult for my students, so I think they won't understand. But why so? And one of the main reasons is that they are not trained on different expressions or the pragmatic component of the language. Okay, so our invitation, teachers, is that you start bringing situations in which to your classes in which students can develop a real context life experience. So for example, here we have one that is very common, and it's complaining. Okay, so complaining is something that happens in many different contexts, and students need to learn how to complain in English. Now, and remember that this is part of the function of the language. We use the language for a purpose, and in this case, if we're teaching them that, for example, our students are like, no, teacher, but what if I'm in the States and I need to complain because my air conditioner in my hotel room is not working, and I call the front desk and I don't know how to do it? So you need to teach them how to handle these situations, and that's why you can use different contexts. And today we're going to present this one that is complaining. Here you have some questions that you can bring to your class to start, like, I mean, your students given like some opinions about complaining. Don't forget that when you're preparing your class, you set what the context is going to be, what the expressions that the students need to work with when they start having or creating conversations are. So on your lesson planning, you need to establish different stages, you know what they are, but in this case our invitation is that you start contextualizing the experience or the situation. Here you have 4 questions. What is a complaint? What are situations in which you might complain to someone? What do people say to express a complaint in your first language? How is it different from what people say to express a complaint in English? So you can adapt this to Spanish. You can ask your students, okay, for example, if you bought a computer and your computer is not working well and you're calling the customer service, what would you say in Spanish? Okay, now how do you think people would say it in English? So you can start like playing with that as well. Is it common to complain about a bad service in Colombia or in your country? Is it common to complain to a parent, to a boss, or a teacher? Why or why not? Okay, so these are questions that are going to be helpful for your students to develop that. And number 4, we invite you to interact with us through the chat. And this question says, so the idea is that I read the question, please start typing your response on the chat. Would you complain differently to a friend, a server, and a teacher? Why and why not? So important, no? When we complain, is it the same when you're complaining to your father, to your mother? Is it the same if you have a complaint to your brother, your sister, a friend, your girlfriend, your ex-girlfriend, your ex-boyfriend? Maybe the language that you use is going to change, no? For example, Jamie, if you complain, do you think that you would do it in a different way depending to the position of the person or like the role? What do you think?
Yes, I think that I do it differently. I think that I take into account the level of responsibility and also the relationship that I have with that person. Probably if it is a friend, I can be more honest. But Probably if it is a teacher or a server, I have to be a little bit more careful with my language, because I don't want to affect the relationship, for instance, with my teacher, because my teacher has some power in this relationship. I don't want to have a negative reaction from my teacher. And in the case of the server, I try to be polite, and of course I have to be very careful with my language. But when I'm talking to a friend, I think that I can be more relaxed, and I don't have to take care specifically with the words that I use.
Okay, thank you very much, Jamie. So we have here some answers from some teachers. So Mireya says, for example, yes, I would complain differently because the two roles are different, formal and informal. Yeah, and this is something that students need to know, because sometimes we teach them very formal language, but when they face a real situation, they don't understand because they don't know what those informal expressions are. So it's important that they realize that you have to communicate in a different way when you are at work, when you are at an academic in an academic environment. If you are at home, if you're complaining about your food, it's not the same as if you are in a restaurant, or if you are, for example, having dinner at a friend's home. So they need to know that, and that's why we want to remark the way in which they can interact with people. Okay. And Lucrecia says, yes, according to the person, you use formal or informal English. Yeah, you're totally right. We have, it depends. It's different depending on the context. Okay, so we have some people interacting with us. I think it's really important the way you communicate with other people. Yeah, we totally agree. So thank you people for sharing your responses. We're gonna move on, and on our next slide, Daniela, if you help me with our next slide, it's important that you show them how they can use language and how they can organize, or what structure they can follow depending on what they want to develop, no, or the complaint that they want to develop. So for example, here you have 4 strategies for complaining. These were adapted from Murphy, and in here we have, for example, the first strategy is initiation and explanation of purpose. So for example, you have to teach them that they need to introduce the complaint, and how they introduce it. They can use a formal way. For example, if you're teaching them how to do it in a formal context, you can say, excuse me, professor, but I wanted to talk to you about my grade. So here we know that this is the situation. The situation is that the student got a low grade and wants to complain with the teacher. This is a situation that happens in real life, no? And you can teach them how to do it in English. So then they show the complaint. So they say, excuse me, professor, but I wanted to talk to you about my grade. My grade's too low. Okay, so this is something that you can implement after. Then you have the reason, no? So it says, I come to every class, I study hard, but I just didn't do well on one test. So in that case, that's what the student doesn't understand. So are some structures that you can teach them. A request. So when you show them a request, you can say, like, can I do an extra credit assignment to improve my grade? So they are providing a solution for that complaint. It's not just complaining. You have to teach them that they need to propose or to give a possible solution. Okay, so when you're teaching pragmatics, it's important that you take into account all these aspects that can happen in a normal conversation. Intention, yeah, like even when you have eye contact, social skills, when you're like making faces when you're talking to other person, no? If you, for example, if I'm the teacher and the student comes and I do like So in this case, this is part of the pragmatics, no? This is part of, like, body language is part of it, and the intonation as well. So there are many aspects that you can teach your students when you are when you're teaching pragmatics. All right. So here we have other answers. So Mario says, for example, differently because of the person and the context, but same for the intention to get them to collaborate with an issue. Very nice answer. Fuken says, I think that not, because I don't know how do that people react. Well, important as well. So it's reactions, no? You have to teach them or you have to teach students how to show reactions, how to react in a nice way, how to control their emotions when they are reacting to someone's opinion, for example. And finally, in all cases, it's important to be kind. We have Sulma says, I hate the autocorrector. Yes, don't worry. We know that sometimes when we're typing things, it happens. It's important that you show your students how they can complain in different ways. So thank you, Luisa, for that comment as well. So moving on, we're going to show you some other strategies, this time for collaboration. So Jamie, can you please let us know what material and what resources can we use for working on collaboration? Thank you.
Okay, so we continue with some other activities. Daniela, can you please move the, okay. Collaboration activities. So here we have some examples. For instance, brainstorm sessions where you invite students to describe or discuss some topics. Or, for instance, book or movie review. These are another great lesson ideas. Create a session dedicated to a book and invite the students to share their reviews and comments on the ideas of others, or probably if there is a very famous movie that you want to work on your class, this is a very nice topic in which you can include your students, they can communicate better, and also they can collaborate having or building up a review. Can you please move to the next, Daniela? And here we have one example. So this is a brainstorm. So if you want to work on vocabulary, for instance, you can have this as a poster on the whiteboard, or we can also do a mind map on, I don't know, presentations online. So in this case, what we have is my hero, and we have different categories, for instance, enemies, or heroic acts, or virtues, or physical appearance, or anti-heroic traits. And students can collaborate and add more information, vocabulary, or descriptions in each of the categories. In this part, I want to recommend you one material that is going to help you a lot. It is very organized. It is Módulo de Paz y Convivencia. I'm going to share with you this, this link. And the Módulo de Paz y Convivencia has different activities, and everything is planned. It is planned for 4 sessions, 4 hours each. There are a lot of activities with the goal, with the step-by-step, and further materials. This activity was taken from this material. We invite you to explore this booklet. It is so interesting because you can find materials to teach soft skills and, of course, English. So I'm completely sure you're gonna love this material. This is completely recommended. And Diego, this is 10:05. Time flies. We need to move faster. Okay, so we are gonna go to the next slide. Thank you, Daniela. And please, Diego, don't forget to activate your microphone.
Thank you. So as Jamie was saying, remember that, Andrea, you helped me with the camera change. Thank you very much. So remember, as Jamie was mentioning before, when you want to develop communication skills and collaboration skills, you can refer to this booklet that the Ministry of Education created, that the link that Jamie just shared, and here you're gonna find different activities that develop different skills. And this one, for example, is about how assertive you are when you face different situations in life. So, for example, let's imagine this situation. Let's imagine this situation, teachers. You and students, because I think that we have some students connected as well. Imagine that you are in the line at the cinema, you're buying tickets, and then some people decide, and the line is very long, and then some people decide to skip the line, and they are before the line, or they get into the line before you. And how would you react, teachers? What would you say? Would you say something to that person immediately, or would you decide like just not to say anything? So, or how would you say it? How would you let these people know that you are not comfortable with what they are doing? So this is about how assertive we can be. For that, you can ask your students, for example, one activity that you can have if we have face-to-face classes is to say, okay, students, please stand up, the ones who would say something to those people, and remain seated those who wouldn't say anything. And then you can play with that. If you're having your virtual class or using a platform, you can say, for example, okay, maybe you can send a thumbs up if you would say something, and a thumbs down if you wouldn't say anything. So that's one way. Or teachers, if you some of you are saying like, yeah, but what happens if we don't have internet connection, or if the students don't have internet connection? So you can share this on WhatsApp. You can share this questionnaire, or you can create a questionnaire. Remember that all these activities are adaptable, so you can adapt these activities to your level. So teachers, please start answering our question. Would you react? Would you say something, or would you just remain silent? And here, when you get the PowerPoint presentation, you will have this material as well. So for example, here you can share this questionnaire to your students. It says, read the questions and keep track of how many times you would answer yes. So for example, the first question says, I'm comfortable meeting new people in social situations. So students just need to say yes or no. Let's check another. I tell others when their behavior is not acceptable to me. So in that case, it's yes or no. And at the end, here you have the results, and here you have like, if you have more than 10 yes, you are consistently assertive and probably handle most situations well. Okay, if you get less than 10, it's because you need to learn how to become assertive. Okay, how to react, when to react. Okay, so here you can have activities in which you can develop communication skills. And remember that teaching how to communicate for the 21st century is not only having role plays or teaching expressions, but also have students reflect upon what they usually do and the way they usually communicate, what they need to change when they communicate, okay, or what they need to improve, or what they need to keep doing. Okay, so thank you. We're gonna move to our next activity in this case. So Jamie, can you please let us know what this side of Paz y Convivencia has for collaboration? Thank you.
Okay, Diego, thank you. So we continue with collaboration activities. In this case, we have two ideas, collective reading activities. So they are amusing and let students develop comprehension skills. Besides, it is an opportunity to learn vocabulary in context. So here we have an example, and this is a reading exercise. So what we can do as teachers is just divide different paragraphs, and in a group activity, they have to read and organize the correct order. And of course, we can also add some images so our students can connect the story with the correct image. So this is an idea for a collective reading activity. And also we have another example, collective writing activity. In this case, these exercises are fun to develop creative and interesting stories. So what can we do? We give you the setting, the characters, and probably a problematic situation, and students start creating a story. And of course, this is a teamwork. So let your students explore these characteristics and also settings, and then let their imagination fly with the correct use of English. This is an opportunity to provide exercises to practice also writing activities. Once again, we want to recommend you this www Colombia Aprende, módulo de paz y convivencia, the link that I shared before, and this is also part of the activities that you are gonna find there in that booklet. Okay, we are gonna continue with another example. So, Daniela, can you please move to the next slide? In this case, we want to give you some other ideas like cultural fairs and language races. So these activities encourage friendly teamwork among students with activities to research, learn, and test their knowledge. So what can we do? We can prepare a cultural fair, for instance, about Latin American countries or European countries. And they have to research and they have to give, I don't know, examples, pictures, food, music. And in this way, they are going to learn about culture. They are going to use English in a very good and communicative way, but also they are going to work together. Also, we can implement some language races in which we have some competences. We can also use the teamwork. In this case, what we can do is we have several groups, and then we have different tests, different quizzes, and they are going to solve them in groups, improving their collaboration and communication skills. Also, we can implement surveys. If you ask your students to create surveys, they can be motivated. Of course, they can ask between them, they can improve their English level communication. And also, it is so important for in this activity to collect the information and analyze data. Can you please move to the next, Daniela? So we have here some collaboration tools. For instance, for surveys, you can use formularios if you have a Gmail email, then you can have access to formularios, documentos, presentaciones. In this case, these apps are going to help you to work collaboratively. If they are, for instance, in this moment, every student is at home, so they can still work collaboratively using these tools. If your students have an institutional email, they have access to the applications such as Forms or PowerPoint or Word, and they can still work together, build up forms or prepare presentations together. So these are some tools that you can and your students can also use. Can we please go to the next? Finally, we have an activity, and this is also part of the examples that you can find in the Módulo de Paz. So this is how we can develop a project with our students. So can you please move to the next, Daniela? In this part specifically, we are gonna ask them to fill up these spaces. Project team, so they have to find a name. Number of professionals, it depends on the group that you are gonna select. For instance, 4 people, 3 people, etc. Planning time, and this is very nice because your students are gonna project. They are gonna plan the time of the project. And then construction time. Of course, they are gonna have to set another time for the construction time. This is a tower project. So after that your students have done this, you say them, you give them the materials. So in this case, there are skewer sticks, plastic straws, masking tape and thread, paper, scissors, and markers. Can you please go to the next, Daniela? So in this case, we have the task 1. Read carefully the description of the professionals. And in this case, what we are gonna do is just complement what are the characteristics or even the abilities of different type of professionals. In this case, designers and builders and workers. So students start thinking about the qualities, abilities, and all the tasks that these professionals have to do or need to have. And when they complete the profile of each profession, they are gonna select the best person to cover that position. So for instance, builders need to be organized, need to be creative, need to be responsible. So they are gonna choose the correct person for that profile. After every person has a role and a responsibility, they continue building the building the tower. So based on the identified skills, they distribute the roles and then they start using the materials that they have to build the tower. Daniela, can you please continue? Continue. Thank you. These are the construction rules. So whenever you have a project or a task, remember to give your students the specific rules. For instance, all the teammates must support the design and construction of the tower. So in this case, we are promoting the communication. The tower must be as high as the highest mountain, as resistant as the hardest work, and as beautiful as the most artistic work of art. You are not allowed to use additional materials to construct the tower. You must make use of the resources provided. You must not be any materials left over. There must not be, any materials left over at the end. The tower must sustain itself and be movable. The tower cannot be anchor attached. Teams must put a name to their construction. The name must be visible and the tower must be constructed within the limit time. So if you notice in these rules, we motivate the assertive communication, teamwork, and we also give them tools to plan a strategy, to design roles and responsibilities. And this is also part of the activities that you will find in the Módulo de Paz y Convivencia. So we really invite you to know this material. I'm completely sure you're gonna have some other activities that you are gonna love. So I think that we finished with the activities, Diego. We are ready to close this session.
Thank you, Jamie. Okay, teachers, we hope that all this material, all these activities that we have shared, you found them useful, or you find them useful when it comes to your teaching practice. We know that some of you have been exploring different apps, different tools. For example, some teachers or Sulma is saying that Padlet is an excellent option. That I totally agree. I have used it and it's really nice. Here we have a teacher that says in some countries that is part of citizenship competences. For that reason, they can tell the person about the mistake without fear. That's true, no? Remember that we're teaching culture as well. We in Colombia, or well, in Latin America in general, we work in a very different way if we compare to Europeans or for example, I remember one foreigner friend that was telling me once that he was inviting people to a party through a WhatsApp group, Colombians, and he was like, okay, I'm having a party this Friday, who wants to join? And then the Colombians were like, yes, me. And then when Friday arrived and the party started, he said like, well, there were like 2 people, and in the WhatsApp group, like 20 Colombians had said yes. And I told him, well, it's because maybe in Colombia, we are afraid of saying no, or we think that saying no to a person is rude, no? So it's important that we learn that cultures, for example, in other cultures, can you do me this favor? And then people say, no, I can't, sorry, I don't have time. But in Colombia, we're like, yes, but why not later? I can support you tomorrow, or blah, 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 instead of saying no. And this is something that is really important, what you're saying. Like, some people in other cultures are very direct, and this is something that we need to learn, because we can feel offended, or we can feel that people are being rude. So it's important to teach this aspect of the language, the intentions, the reactions, how to handle things in different cultures. So to wrap up, don't forget that with all these strategies that we are sharing with you, and all these 21st century skills recommendations that we're giving you through these workshops and webinars, we want to equip your students with a sense of purpose and competences they need. Okay, remember that you have to clarify and you have to make it clear that they are being prepared, or they are being equipped with strategies that they can use in real situations, and to face the 21st century in different aspects of their lives, academically speaking, or if when they are at work. And finally, promoting 21st century skills in our teaching practice is essential. Don't forget to include a 21st century skills in every lesson that you teach. A tip, an advice: teach your students something related to 21st century skills every time that you teach a lesson. I'm sure that students will really appreciate it, and you will see how this is going to change the way that they perceive your classes. They're gonna see like a purpose, all right? And finally, don't forget, Daniela, you help us with the last slide, sorry, the last sentence. It says, remember, next session, it's gonna happen on Tuesday next week, 9 a.m. We're gonna continue talking about 21st century skills. We're gonna show you activities and materials to promote creativity and innovation among your students. Okay, so thank you so much for joining us today. We hope that this session was really helpful, that you found all this material useful, and well, it says good presentation, thanks a lot. Don't forget that this presentation is going to be published on Red Academica in 2 days, 3 days, so you will find it there. We have Consuelo, good presentation, thanks a lot. Please publish the video and the PowerPoint as soon as possible. We will try to do it as soon as possible. Thank you, Nuri. It says thanks a lot. Hello from Eduardo Umaña Mendoza. Thank you, people from USME, or teachers from USME, for joining us today. Mireya says thank you for sharing your tips and strategies. Jose Mendoza says thanks a lot. Fukene says, nos van a compartir esta presentación. Sure, we will do this. Don't forget, this presentation will be posted on Red Academica. So people, we don't want to take longer, because we know that you all have different duties, and we also do. So thank you, Jamie, for joining us today. Thank you, Jaime. Thank you, Daniela, for all the support. Andrea, thank you for all the support in this live session. To Red Academica, don't forget that this is an initiative that belongs to the Aprenda en Casa strategy that is being promoted by the Secretary of Education. Don't forget that you can share this video once it is posted on Red Academica with your partners. If they ask where to find it, don't forget that they can find it on Red Academica. Luisa Martinez, thank you very much for your comments and answering to our students and teachers questions. That being said, Jamie, if you want to close and say goodbye, goodbye, people.
Thank
See you next session.
Goodbye. See you next session. See you next Tuesday. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
Goodbye, people. See you.